Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Minister Kang, there are of course a lot of challenges out there, but one of the silver linings this year was, of course, happening on the Korean Peninsula. The dialogue between Pyongyang and, of course, Seoul, but also the historic meeting between the U.S. President and Chairman Kim Jong-un that took place in Singapore in June, July. We know that the U.S. President is planning to meet with Chairman Kim Jong-un again late February. We don't know where. But looking at the denuclearization, potential peace agreement between DPRK, North Korea, and South Korea. What can we expect in the year to come if you're going to look into the crystal ball?
Well, before I discuss what can we expect this year, let me just give you a vision of what this could lead to in terms of a new momentum for growth. If you look at the Korean Peninsula on the map, it juts out at the eastern end of the largest continent of the world, which is Eurasia, and into the Pacific Ocean, the largest ocean. So it looks like a natural bridge that can connect all the potential of the sea powers and the continental powers, and that should be the case. But of course, we know that that hasn't been the case for 7 decades. That disconnect that exists on the Korean Peninsula is something that has been distinctly going against the growing tides of globalization, the growing interconnectedness, and that is, of course, all because of the last remaining legacy of the Cold War. So in the meanwhile, South, the Republic of Korea, has, despite the different circumstances, has become yes, we are part of the peninsula, but we've been more like an island, basically. But we've managed to develop the economy based upon our strength in trade, our strength in exports, in shipbuilding, and so on and so forth, while the North Korea has basically remained outside. And it's like a zone frozen in some time warp, and that it has been kept that way for 7 decades. We want to change that. We want to make sure that the whole of the Korean Peninsula is prosperous and peaceful, and does act as that natural bridge between the continent and the Pacific. This military demarcation line that was put in place in 1953 at the end of the Korean War is still what separates the South and North into basically 2 hostile entities, but also has been the big barrier that has prevented any significant amount of exchanges of goods, services, and people across that divide. And as a result, the geographical potential that this peninsula should have never been seriously explored. But I think with the changes that we have, you call it the silver lining, I think we've started to make a significant shift in that direction. We've had, as you say, 3 inter-Korean summits, one, the first U.S.-North Korea summit, and that has meant a shift in the political dynamics on the Korean Peninsula from one of hostilities and growing tension to one of dialogue, and dialogue towards a peaceful resolution of the North Korean nuclear issue, but also replacing the armistice system that is currently in place to a full-fledged peace treaty. Now, very tall order, but I think we've made the first move in that direction, making use of these historic diplomatic engagements of last year. I think with the latest visit by the North Korean envoy to Washington, D.C., I think we've back on track on the denuclearization discussions between the United States and North Korea. And now there is much expectation that the second U.S.-North Korea summit will take place. The dates have been announced as being roughly late February. The exact dates, the exact time yet to be announced.
You probably have to see if the shutdown is over too, huh?
Well, I think yes. I think the shutdown has to be taken into account. But I think the critical functions of the government still continue. I think the State Department is fully functional, and so on. But yes, it's something we have to keep in consideration. So this year we really need to make some great big strides along this road to denuclearization and lasting peace that we've managed to open up last year. The second U.S.-North Korea summit will have to deliver some concrete results, concrete advances on the denuclearization track. There is also a promise from the North Korean leader to come to the South. There have been 3 South Korean presidential visits to the North, one in 2000, one in 2007, and the third one last year, and I was part of that visit. But the North Korean leader has now promised to come to the South for his 4th meeting with President Moon. And I think if we have these summit engagements well prepared, meaning we have to somehow negotiate a successful outcome of these summits, I think we will indeed turn 2019 into another year of big steps toward denuclearization and lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula. Obviously, we do all of this in very close consultation with our ally, the United States. So on the one hand, you have the South-North track moving, and then you also have the U.S.-North Korea track. And between the two of them, the South Korea-U.S. coordination is vital. Of course, we also have close consultations with Japan, China, Russia, also all having a shared goal in getting North Korea to completely denuclearize. And of course, that's not just the neighbor, it's the whole of the international community that is demanding that North Korea gives up its nuclear and missiles programs and WMD programs, in fact. So as we move along, stay tuned, and we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Just a short follow-up. What we see in the world today is many proxy situations that the big movers don't have common interest, or they don't define their interest as aligned. But I guess on DPRK, North Korea, all the nations, as you mentioned, have a common interest in the denuclearization.
Yes, it's a stated goal in successive Security Council resolutions, and I think so. If any issue had united the Security Council, and we know how the Security Council in many ways is not living up to our expectations, but on this one, it has managed to maintain that unity. And in the end, I think a peaceful, nuclear-free Korean Peninsula would be in the interest of all.
You will have the opportunity to sum up.
Well, I think the perception and facts, how real is real? It's as real as people perceive it to be real. Facts are facts, and it's very important that we base policy on facts, but people are thinkers. They think based upon the facts. But I think the danger of the world today is that we've lost sight of the facts. And your fact is as good as... There's so much fakeness out there. And I think as leaders, whether it's domestically or internationally, I think the primary responsibility of leaders anywhere is to make the point that facts are important. There's an inspiring book called Factfulness by Hans Rosling. It's hugely inspiring, and that's good. But that's people are more driven by perception based upon those facts than the facts themselves. So I think we constantly need to drive home the message that, policies cannot be based upon anything other than fact. But it's hard. As Mr. Kono says, when there's so much online, when you don't know what's fact or not, but it's really incumbent upon the leaders ourselves to really dig at what is the fact and what should be driving our policies. So let me end it there.
Thank you so much.